Hi, everybody. This is Marilyn. Do we have audio? Yes, no, maybe? Great, thanks. This is Marilyn, and it's the noon edition of Welcome to My World, which is on November 30th at noontime, Monday. Um, we've had a number of questions in our chat this morning. I'll try to address a couple of those. Um, But let's take a look. Apparently, the indices did not smile favorably upon the Chicago PMI numbers that came out this morning and started taking a bit of a downturn. The NQ was clearly the strongest of those markets to trade. TF, I found just kind of today ought to be a day to ignore that for a while because it's other than this morning, just a little bit before the open, it had a nice trend, but after that, it's been too difficult, at least for me, to take any of these trades. The 1E did put up about 1120-ish. That candle ended up with being the same candle with the X. So Lori ignores those too. She does not like those. We had some questions earlier about trading her C's thing, which I refer to as the candy trades. Every time I see that C's, I think of box of C's candy. But anyway, when she did the original TFT on that, THT, she was trying to learn to love the 519 or bars, the candles, the 519 ones, which she finally had to throw in the towel and admit she hated. So she went back to using the 12-tick diagnostic on TF for that. She plans to do another THT where she's going to just use that chart and focus on the entries. Where are the entries? Good, bad, or pass? And I think that's going to help clarify a lot of this. We've got so many new things coming out with our toolkits, and hopefully some of them are internal improvements, but there will be some other things I think that will help these candles and bars, whichever you use. I prefer using the bars on crude oil and the candles on TF, but that's just me. We have the VIX right now at 16.5, so it's come up a little bit from Friday, I guess was the last close we had on that. And then we'll have to see where it goes from here. The crude oil has been in a bit of a chop also. Canadian dollar had a nice move up. So if you trade a currency other than, or you're looking for one other than, say, the dollar, which has been in a fairly tight range all morning, and the euro, which is likewise, Canadian dollar can sometimes make it does not have the volume and it does not move as fast. It makes a very good market, I think, for somebody that's trying to learn how to trade futures for that very reason. It's not likely to run away with you, but you do have to develop some patience. And it tends to move very closely with crude oil. We have a question here of how do you create a valid URL after capturing a Jing? Andrew, you right-click on your right on the screenshot after you have got it loaded over to your Google or whatever your browser is. You then right click and it'll have a menu. Just click on the one that's the complete URL and then paste that in the room and everybody will see your chart. This morning, crude oil, this was a great day to really, while it's very difficult to trade off this 12-tick chart this morning, if you are a scalper and you're looking for 15 tick scalps, there were a number of them off of this 6 tick, and this is the time to be using this. So after, say, about 9, 10 o'clock, using this with the classic apex entries, when this chart becomes very difficult to trade, you can always go to this 6-tick, but I would pay real close attention, if you're going to do that, to what's happening on your 5-minute continuum bars here, because this thing has been putting up a clear chop notification. It doesn't necessarily mean you can't trade that market, but you have to get something that, because this is untradeable. I mean, to try and find an entry, it's just all over the place telling you no, no, no. Doesn't necessarily. If you have studied these charts and tested this, it does take some practice, but it is certainly doable. And I have found these I zones to be really, really good on the 6-tick chart. So I also said at this time I would show you how to get your charts maybe to load a little faster. So one of the programmers showed me this, and it has made all the difference in the world. But what I have done at his direction was to go in, get you need a new workspace, get a new workspace, and make a 1-tick data load. There is, let me see, if you go right here in a chart to templates and just click on load, the first one that pops up is the Elite 1-tick data loading. You just have to make sure that when you do that, you've got 1 tick entered on the data series when you start that chart up. So for instance, if that's what you're going to do, you have to make this type turn to tick, and you have to make this, it'll say ticks right in here, but you have to change that to 1 and then load that that kind of a 1-tick chart. So what you do when you start, you need to make one of those in a separate workspace for every market that you trade. So if you trade one currency and one indices, and or you watch 2 indices and have a currency and or a commodity, whatever it is that you have, for each one of those, make one of these charts. It has its own separate workspace. So when you get through with that, what it will look like is you'll have one of each of these, and your menu, if you're going to open a workspace, you're going to have a menu with these loaded, each one. And every morning when you first start it up, you first start up NinjaTrader, connect your data, and then one by one, load first one, and as soon as it moves, it doesn't take but just a couple of 3 seconds for it to do that. Then go to the next one, open that one. But then what you do is leave them all open all day, okay? And then to get out of this, you close them. It's a little more trouble in closing them individually like this, but I can tell you when you open up that big workspace, the one that you're going to use, just amazing how much faster it loads. Just amazing. And this way, the new toolkit has a place where you can oh, and I'll show you something else, where you can clear the data out of NinjaTrader, or you can just clear recent. So if on the weekend you clear it all, and then every night you just just before you start up you clear recent, it should make your whole system load much faster. There is a tools here, and you can go to options, and you can go to data right here, and you can, if you're having a lot of data problems and it's loading real slowly, do a data repair. Just click this button right here, tell it okay, and that many times will fix a lot of what ails the data. So I hope that helps. I have found that to be just amazing. Because it used to take my charts sometimes 15 minutes or more to load, and now they load in less than 2 minutes. So it's well worth it. We may get a trend when you look at this 30-minute chart up here on crude oil. It's been in a chop for the last, 3 hours or 3.5 or whatever it is. When it's like this in the morning, in the afternoon, sometimes we might get another nice trend. Bonds have been steadily going up. So this is going to be a really busy month, and I suggest that that you get yourself and your computer system prepared for it, because there's going to be a lot happening in the month of December. Okay, so I will come back at 2:30, and we'll see what the afternoon has brought. If there's anything anybody would like for me to cover when I come on, just please let me know, and I'll try and show you. I think sometimes it's easier to see than to type it in the chat. Okay, so this has been my view from my world in Apex land, brought to you by Apex Investing. I'll see you about 2:30. Thanks.